Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So yes, we're going to be discussing aspect ratios and panos, and how I would use this camera, how I actually went out and used the camera at a little small park area with a building on a Hines Drive in Michigan, and it's pretty much like a kind of scenic drive through the different suburbs of Detroit, and there are parks and stuff like that off the sides of it as it goes from one part of a section of suburbs to another. And there's some opportunities to get some nice panel shots, if you will, of landscape type shots with lakes and trees and so forth. And based on a question recently asked by a person watching a video in the comments, wondered if this would be a great camera for panos. I can honestly say, yes. I think any camera is, but definitely yes with this one, with the 102 megapixel sensor and everything that goes on with this camera and what it can do, like the other GFX 100 series cameras. You're dealing with a lot of detail, and the aspect ratio gives you the ability to quickly jump between the two aspect ratios. I think will work for panos, whether it's trying to use them straight out of camera, like the 64 by 24, which is of course the X-Pan aspect ratio, and then you have something a little shorter in height, if you will, which is the 17 by 6. Now the 17 by 6, when I looked up or talked to a Fuji rep, my local Fuji rep Chris, 17 by 6 was what we both kind of figured would be a good straight out of camera pano aspect ratio. But I went one step further, of course, when I went out there and looked at the different scene and looked at what's going on around this building and said, just doing that is great, but let's just go ahead and see what it looks like also stitching some of those images together too, to kind of see what I can get. Now, I will give you guys a little bit of a caveat here. I forgot my monopod or tripod. So this was all handheld. So little grace if you see where it's not as detailed as you think it should be, because I may have a little bit of camera shake in there. But I'm gonna go ahead and record my screen, go through some of this, in essence, pixel peep on this bad guy and see what it looks like to do a pano with this camera and what this camera will provide. So let me go into my Lightroom and get things going. So as you guys see, the first thing I did when I came to this park was I took a shot on the top of the hill in the 17 by 6 ratio, just to see what it would do, just to see how much of the environment I would be able to get in this image here. And as you can see, it's getting some pretty good data, if you will, or a lot of the environment with the trees up close in the front and trees in the background, and then of course the lake running through, or river, if you will, running through in the mid ground, I guess you say, in the middle of the image. As you can see at the top up here, this image was shot, which all of them were, at 1/250th of a second, and that's trying to kind of make up for my handshake. Of course, if the trees blew or due to the wind, you're going to get movement from that no matter what. I was at f8 on this one, ISO 250, and of course, it's reading the lens that's 35 millimeter. So that is the 17 by 6. I got a lot of detail here. If I zoom into this image, let me see if I can do this right. Yeah, there we go. I got a lot of detail. If I go to the very background, yeah, it's a little muddy. It's a little out of focus. But again, I'm shooting at the top of a hill, pretty far from this. But on the stuff that's close, it looks like I got some good detail there. And as I go in and crop in 50%, this is 100%. That looks pretty good over there, whatever that is. It looks like it might be a little a manhole access for something. So yeah, a lot of image in a lot of, I should say, a lot of stuff in the image. Could be a little confusing in a way, but let's go ahead and get to another shot. And this was another shot at the 17 by 6. And I really like this one because I could see right away that the building is in good focus. The railing going down is in good focus. The brush off to the right is in good focus. From as closest to me over here to the bottom right corner to as far away over as the building, everything looks like it's in good focus. And this is just a single shot. at 17.6. So for me, if I wanted to try to get something that gives me a single shot pano, if you will, I'd probably use the 17x6 over the X-Pan. But the X-Pan is definitely another great option. But you want to see what it looks like to be stitched together. So I'm going to go ahead and first cycle through another shot. Here's another one. I got a little handshake in this one. As it renders, you'll see it comes in clear. A lot of stuff is still in great focus, even though I had a little bit of a handshake, hand movement. That back past the tree down here at the bottom before you get to the river, those tree line in the back is nice and blurred out. So I kind of like this one. Again, this is at f8. It was kind of overcast day, so I think it captured the image pretty well. Now, as I move into getting a feel for this, let me go to the first of the panels. So the first of the panels, I did a 5-stitch panel at the 17x6, and I tried to keep my level the same as I went across with the camera, taking the 5 images, just really trying to rotate my body without really moving the camera up and down. Because again, I didn't have my tripod, so that was my miss. But I did not edit any of the photos. And I will tell you guys, these images took a minute to download in Lightroom. And this is one of the reasons why I really hate using Lightroom. Because for me, I've never seen the processor move fast enough as other editors out there like Capture One, which I primarily use. But unlike Capture One, I can at least stitch images together here to do stuff like the panel we're about to clip on. And here's that panel of all 5 images. I like what's going on here. I did have to use the setting that allowed me to bring the image out to all the way to the corners after it's stitched together. And it didn't warp it too badly at all from what I can see. So I think this image all in all turned out pretty dang good for a panel using 5 17x6 images. So if this was on a tripod, I would believe, especially with a more calmer wind across the lake, I would believe I would have a very sharp image from front to all the way in the background, with all 5 of those images, and this would be just phenomenal, even better than it is now. So of course, I wanted to go in and do one at the X-Pan 64x24, and that's what these next 5 are. So again, I didn't do any editing on the images at all. I wanted to bring them, excuse me, let me get rid of that. I wanted to bring them into the panel and then edit the image. So this is the image after I did my editing and things like that. If I was to reset this image, I could show you what it looked like before the edits. So there's a reset. And that's what it looked like before I did anything. A little flat, if you will, but being able to go back to that edit and seeing how I kind of straightened the horizon up and added some color and worked on the highlights, the shadows, and so forth. A lot of detail in this image. I still have a lot of detail, especially in the foreground right here, like the off on the dock area. Even over here by the hill that I originally was at when I took that first image. So you could see kind of how far up I was and how far out I was when I took the images between the 2 trees here and over. But I like this panel. I like this panel a lot. A little bit taller on the image, again, because of the 64x24. So I had a little bit more of the top and bottom of the image to play with as far as data. But I definitely do like the panel from the 17x6 as well. It's just, I think, a matter of preference on what you want to do. So, excuse me. I just wanted to show that real quick. I went out there and I played with this and I did a couple of more shots and things like that, playing with the panels, as you can see down here. But I did want to show the 2 between the 64 and the 17. So again, this one is the 64x24 X-Pan panel. And then this one is the 17x6 aspect ratio panel. And I think they both are great. So there you go. Would I use this camera to do panels? Absolutely. I would definitely use the X-Pan and the 17x6 aspect ratio to get me good results on a single shot. And then I would definitely bring them in post later into Lightroom or Photoshop, combine them together and get some stellar images. Of course, with the differences, next time I would absolutely use a tripod so I can eliminate as much shake as possible out of the camera, or opportunity with the camera, because I was hand holding, to get the sharpest images I can as I rotated it, of course, across the horizon axis to get my number of images that I would want to get a panel. But I think Lightroom Classic did a great job of stitching these together into a panel. Let me see if I have one. There was one more I did, and I really, really liked it. Let's see here. No, is this it? Why is this doing that? Let me close that. So this last panel, this was this actually was a X-Pan panel, and I really like this one. I'm actually thinking about cropping it just a little, maybe getting out the guy in the boat over here and doing a little bit more work on this in post to really bring it out and print it. I really like the way this turned out. If I go back and show you guys the images real quick, you know, I started off with this image, then this image. So this was a 5-image panel, and actually I went too far. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5-image panel, and then I brought it together for this and then edited it. I want to go back to this location for this image and see if I can get there one day when it's really calm on the water. Maybe nobody's out there boating or nobody's fishing near me, and I don't get a whole lot of movement on the surface, and get a good reflection of that tree line. And I think this would be a stellar image, hopefully with some clouds. So there you go. You guys let me know what you think about how I did here, and you know, what you can do with this camera as you think about it in its use. Yeah, I think it'd be great for doing panels for sure. And outside of that, we're going to have some fun with this. The next video I want to do is getting out really and doing some street work with this, which I haven't had a chance yet to do. And then I can show you guys some results on that and how I set my camera up and the images that I got. So see you guys on the next video.